Good morning, John. How are you?
I'm wonderful, Hamid. I'm great, man. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm as good as one can be. But look, I'm
Yeah.
super excited. I'm pretty sure our audiences are excited too. One and only John Sanei, everybody. Really, I'm just gonna shut up and listen to what you have to say. Before that, real quick, tell our audiences a little bit about you, what it is that you do, and then I'll start with the questions. Go right ahead.
Well, I'm just a human being fascinated with human psychology, neuroscience, futurism, and business strategy. I find it incredibly exciting to try and help people discover new courage and new possibility for what the future could look like, letting go of their psychology and adopting a new way to implement futuristic strategies into the new paradigm that's coming for all of us.
So speaking of the future, man, when I look at it, to me, future is not just a slice of time and space, you know, with a number 2025. It's also the image that I see, right? How different things look, how alien they look to now. Nowadays, though, every week, every week that passes by, I see I see an alien image. It's a very, very different image, but the number is the same. It's 2020. I mean, let me know what your take is on this. What's happening? Who better to ask this than a futurist like you, John?
Well, I think 2030 has arrived 10 years too early. All of us are expecting this sort of growth into future of work and communication and education has now just arrived 10 years too early. So I think all of us have been caught off guard. And now that we are living in this new world, I think the biggest gift we have from COVID-19 is the forcing us into lockdown, forcing us into figuring out new ways to communicate and add value to the world. So yes, it looks like science fiction and it does look strange, but you must remember that we are transitioning between the Industrial Revolution and the new quantum world. And this transition phase is very difficult for all of us because we don't have a solid ground or footing for us to understand what this new world looks like yet. And so we are in a home, and our home has one side of it burning and the other side of it in renovations. And so what we are is trying to put that fire out, but actually more interested in the renovations, but we don't actually know what it looks like yet. And so what I'm trying to do is trying to get as many people as possible to let the old burn away. There's no reason for us to bring it with us. We need to let go of it in order to be able to build something fresh and brand new. That's actually quite opposite to the old world. The old world required us to follow the principles of economics that said economies of scale, growth over everything else. The new world is about economies of learning and symbiosis, collaboration rather than competition. And this is very difficult for many people to let go.
I keep thinking about this every day. I've long thought about entrepreneurship as the ability to cope with uncertainty. So I've always said, the entrepreneur species, they stand out because they kind of they even embrace uncertainty. But now all of a sudden, everybody's faced with uncertainty. Now, talk to me about the uncertainty delusion, as you put it.
Yeah, so my new book is called Future Next, and the payoff line is certainty delusion. And I think we've seen amongst us, and even maybe amongst your friends, is that some people have totally broken because of what's going on, and other people have come alive. And what I'm realizing is that we are coming to the end of the employer-employee era. We are now moving into an era which I'm calling the forced entrepreneurship era. We are all being forced to become adaptable. We're all being forced to look for new ways to bring value to the world. And entrepreneurs are just naturally ingrained in doing that. But remember something, entrepreneurs were terrible students at school. They were terrible people that followed rules. And so for me, I was shocking at school. But really, I wasn't stupid. I just was terrible at following rules. So the era of the Industrial Revolution that required us to be linear in fashion, linear in the way we thought, in framework processes, was very much the left brain. welcome to the era of the right brain, because now it's about adaptability. It's about creativity. It's about flexibility, which is exactly the opposite to this. But what we have to also realize is that technology will be replacing our left brain anyway over the next 10 years, or if not even earlier, with automation and machine learning and data. So the sooner we can adopt an adaptable personality and perspective, the sooner we'll thrive. And so that's why we have to let go of the old, the paradigm of the old, and move into this new multi-adaptive, multifaceted quantum world.
Oh my God, forced entrepreneurship. As an entrepreneur, I gotta say, I feel for the whole population, because this is not gonna be easy. It's far from easy, and it's such a bumpy ride, but hey, we're in it together. You mentioned something in your book, The Fascinating, something about the 5 stages of going through the fallen future, the memory, the future memories, you call them. Come on, talk to me about that.
So the most amazing thing is that we are starting to realize that there's no time. Time is a victim of our imagination, because if you think about it, when you're doing something you absolutely love, 4 hours feels like 10 minutes. And if you're doing something you really hate, 10 minutes feels like 4 hours. And so if you're doing something you hate, you age badly, because your perspective of time is what determines your aging. So let's bank that. Let's think about memories. Because what are memories? Memories are things that you've held on to inside your memory banks. But what about future memories? Because they're also things that you've held on to in your future banks or your memory banks. And so they take up the exact same part of your brain. Whether you're imagining about something or expecting something from the past to happen again, it's the same part of the brain. And that's why they say always visualize your future or imagine what it's going to be, because then what starts to happen is your perspective starts looking for those things. Now, for example, if you've been abused by, let's say, men, boys and girls, when you were younger, what will happen as a memory is you'll project that memory into the future saying all men are dangerous. Okay? Now, what we have to realize is that if we take that concept, that our memories are both future and past because there's no time, we now have collectively lost all our future memories. Every single one of our future projections, expectations, and memories have been canceled. And so now what? We have to mourn them. We have to get into a place where we feel sad about losing them. We feel angry about losing them. We deny that the future has actually changed. So we go through the 5 stages of mourning, and the 5 stages of mourning are well documented. They're not mine, but you go through bargaining. No, it's not that bad. Or it's going to come back. Denial. No, the future it's not changing. Or anger. I can't believe that it's happened. I want to blame everybody else. Then I go through grieving, where I actually have to sob and let go. And then you come into a place I call radical acceptance. Not just acceptance, but radical acceptance. Because what radical acceptance does, it catalyzes you to create something new. If you don't accept, you'll stay stuck in bargaining and denial going, they'll come back. No, I'll just be fine. Don't worry, just wait. I'm going to close my shop and I'm just going to wait for things to open up again. Everything will be fine again. No, it won't. We're not going back to that. So emotionally, we have to get okay with COVID-19 changing all our future. And once we've done that, we catalyze into something new.
Fascinating stuff. I mean, because everybody's feeling that, right? And they just want to go back to normal, so accustomed to the past normal that we just can't let it go. Now, John, if it were 3 months ago, say 4 months ago, I would have asked you, what do you think about the future, what the future holds? But I'm just going to go back to the uncertainty. I'm going to get the coach out of you, and I'm going to say, people need to know what to do now. What would be your tips on coping with this uncertainty?
We can't determine what the future looks like. And so the only thing you can manage is your behavior. Because if you don't know what it's going to look like, why try? Why continuously look for certainty? Rather become okay with the fact that if I need to become adaptable in the future that I'm moving into, if that's the skill set I need to require and acquire, That's what I need to do. So what creates adaptability? And before I tell you what creates adaptability, let's backtrack and think about the agricultural times. And when the Industrial Revolution arrived, all the skills you had as a farmer became useless in the industrial times. And so what did you do? Hold on to your farming skills, get angry with the Industrial Revolution. And then you had famously, I know you're in London, famously the Luddites in England that wanted to break the tractors and the factories and all those sort of things. So they were not being adaptable. And now we laugh at them because we're like, of course the Industrial Revolution was obvious. But guess what? Here we are today. You're still holding on to industrial times. Now we move into the quantum time. So remember that you have to let go of those skills. The left brain framework, logical, linear way of thinking is being replaced by computers. AI, machine learning can just do it much better, much more efficiently. What we have to discover is adaptability. And so what brings about adaptability? And that's the big question, because adaptability in my research is brought up by two different things. One, curiosity. In other words, God has given us all a signature of curiosity. Your curiosity, my curiosity, your wife's curiosity, your mother's, your father's, my mother's, all of our curiosities are unique. There's nobody else with our very distinct curiosity. What curiosity gets us to do is become adaptable, because what we do with our curiosity is we weave in and weave out, and we're so entrenched in what this thing is that makes us come alive, that makes time disappear. We don't care about what the outcome is. We are so excited about curiosity. The second thing that makes us adaptable is wisdom. And what wisdom is described by many different teachers in the past. But for me, Alan Watts said it best. He said, the knowledgeable man has to learn something new every day, but the wise man has to unlearn something new every day. And it's in the unlearning of the patterns and expectations we have that allow us and release us of our past in order to move to the future. Now, we all are made up of stories and memories. And so these memories that we carry are just subjective stories we're holding on to. They're not true in any way, because your memory and my memory after this call is yours and mine. Whose is right? They're just your story or my story. And so science has now proven that 50% of our memories are false. I would even go to say that all of them are false because they just made up stories. But what we have are two types of memories. One that excites us, energizes, and catalyzes us, and the other that makes us sad, angry, resentful, and shameful. And so what we have to do is we have to unlearn, recalibrate, heal those memories from our past. And anytime we feel drained down by those memories, all we're doing is we're stuck in the past. We can't move because now we're stuck with those stories. Now, when you heal that, all of it's released. And now your energy's here. And because your energy's here and you combine that with curiosity, you become adaptable naturally. And now you're ready for the future.
But John, look, I was trying to imagine how to cope with it next time I'm feeling down. But how do we do that? How do we get conscious about the fact that we are falling into the bad memories?
Quite simple. Do you feel good when you think about your past or bad? You choose. So, for example, I'll give you an example. Tony Robbins says, moving from unconscious memories to conscious memories, stopping to blame our past and starting to thank our past. That simple thing, right? So I come from a single mom family, and my father was abusive to us. And from a very young age, he was just, that's the way it was. I grew up in a household that my father beat us, and he was angry and moody most of the time. For 40 years, I hated him. I resented him. I hated him. I detested him. And then at 40, I realized that he came from an abusive family and that he was never given the tools to heal himself. He had never the courage to move into that world, because remember, Omid, our parents, especially our fathers, were never given kudos for being emotionally aware. They weren't. Fathers were go make money and slap the kids around if they don't play around, and mother would look after us, and that was the emotional aware. And so our fathers were never given the opportunity to actually open their hearts. They didn't even know how to do it. So now at 40, I get this opportunity to see my father as a human being, not as you should have been this, you should have done that. This is what you did wrong to us. But as somebody who actually needs help, who I can't be now responsible for helping, but who's somebody I see as somebody empathetically that needs help. Now that I've got this emotional perspective in relation with my father, I've released it. It doesn't now burden me. And so now that's just one example. But that takes years of work, because what we do in our bodies and our minds, we become habits, creatures of habit. Because once we do something once and twice and 3 times and 4 times, it becomes a habit. So let me ask you this question. Do you remember brushing your teeth this morning? Do you remember showering? Do you remember driving? No, these are all habits. But guess what? Memories are also habits. Anxiousness is also a habit. So when you get into this habit, you have to break the habit. And that's the whole point of Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, is breaking the habit of being you, because it's a habit machine. And so memories are, what's your memory with money? What's your memory with power? What's your memory with masculinity? What's your memory with culture? What's your memory with your skin color? You name it. We've got these memories and stories that we hold on to, which hold us stuck in the past. And so now we live in the most abundant, fluid, oceanic mindset in our history of humanity. Are you going to be part of the Renaissance? Are you going to step up and become part of it? Or are you going to be moaning, shaming, and blaming everything from your past? And so this combination of human psychology, neuroscience, and plasticity with understanding the future become paramount in being future prepared.
I love that book, by the way. And hey, John, let me tell you this. I knew I'd be feeling super energetic through this conversation. One thing I didn't think I'd feel was so emotional. And because man, I could relate to this. My dad was an addict, and I had to go through that, and I had to go through forgiving him throughout the years. And man, that was really something. There's a triangle of things that you advise people to take care of. I'd like for you to share it with my audience as well.
So I call it, your state is who you are. And your state is your perspective. It's how you see the world, it's how you feel the world, how you hear the world, is all based on your state. And your state is made up of 3 things: your emotional state, your mental state, and your physical state. Because as human beings, we have a physical body, we have an emotional body, and we have a mental body. Those are the 3 things that we made up with, right? So you can have very, very clever people, but emotionally broken. And you can have very open and wispy hippies, but mentally nowhere. And all of this could be inside a body that's sick or overweight or not starved of nutrition because it's never been given the time to focus on. So I am an avid meditator and have been for 15 years. So I meditate 2 hours a day, because what that does, it puts you in an emotional state of possibility, not anxiousness. And we all know if we wake up with a little bit of anxiousness in the morning, by the time 11 o'clock comes up, it's a monster. By 3 o'clock, you've had the worst day of your life. All you've done is become emotionally unfit. That's all you are, is emotionally unfit. The second thing you have to do is get your mental state right. Because for me, I have 3 states that I'm always in. What am I learning? How am I growing? And when am I chilling? And you know what the hardest one is? When am I chilling? Because, you know, as somebody who's so insatiably excited about things that I'm studying and looking at and reading and writing, because I'm always writing a book, my biggest issue is, okay, chill now, just like relax, you know? So make sure that your day is made up of where am I growing, what am I learning, and where am I chilling? And then the 4th one, or the 3rd one, is exercise. I've just done a 10-kilometer run in the forest. And so for me, it's like, how are you exercising? And I'm a plant-based, I'm vegetarian, but because what are you putting in your body? And we must remember that just because our memories have always told us that KFC and kebab is so delicious, if we really look at what's happening with factory farming now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't eat animals, but if the type of animal that you're eating is being full of bacteria and hormones and emotional abuse, you're ingesting that sort of stuff. So remember that your being requires an emotional state, a mental state, and a physical state that's ready to be adaptable, flexible, and optimistic about the future.
I got to be honest with you. I mean, the level of energy here between the 2 of us, the level of enthusiasm we have for what we do. I mean, my MacBook is feeling it. It's the display is about to crack, I swear to God. So I'm going to have to wrap this up, and I don't really want to, but I'm going to get you back on the show, and I promise you guys out there. Now, what do you want to leave us with, John?
Well, look, I think we've spoken a lot about emotional states and psychology. I think we have to talk a little bit about the future. I mean, this is a podcast or an interview about cloud, right? So we haven't really even touched on technology. So I think maybe the most important thing we need to realize is that what we sell in the future has to change in a very paradigm type way. And I think the best example I can give you is a brand called Quibi. I don't know if you know about a brand called Quibi, which is a new app that's come out of the States that makes movies, documentaries, and series at a maximum of 8 minutes long. Everything's 8 minutes long. And they are showing us that the future of entertainment is not about filming things with a big screen and then pushing them onto a small screen, but actually filming those series, documentaries, and movies with a phone. So they film for the phone, by the phone, for people to consume by the phone, right? So 3 things that they've done that just blew me away that show us that the medium at which we are now engaging with product and services is determinant of what we are actually consuming, because how we're consuming it affects everything. So 3 things they did, which was just mind-blowing for me, and this gives us an example of what we all need to be doing. The first thing is Steven Spielberg is part of them making a series called After Dark. And After Dark is a thriller. And your phone won't let you watch it while it's daytime. It only allows you to watch it after dark. So that's, I mean, just one. Like just
kidding me.
There we go. So first mind blow, right? Second mind blow is every scene is filmed with a phone vertical and horizontal. So they built new cameras that hold iPhones that are continuously filming every scene like this, okay? If you watch the series from a horizontal viewpoint from your phone like this, what you see is the house that the lady's inside and the guy trying to break in. So there's like this drama that's happening in front of you, right? If you turn the phone vertical, it's her calling the police on FaceTime.
Wow. Mind blown. All right.
So understand that the future requires us not to take a linear business model and digitize it. It is to rethink the consumption of our product and services through digital eyes. And so now we are all in a new paradigm. What you're selling, how you're selling it is all now based on the new way that we want to consume. So good luck.
This is TikTok on steroid, for God's sake. I mean,
that's right.
Yeah. Okay. You never fail to blow my mind, sir. I can't thank you enough for being with us. It was a pleasure. Before I let you go, some of our audiences want to get a hold of you. What's the best way of reaching out to you?
So I'm really, really lucky because out of 7.8 billion people in the world, there's only one John Sanei. I have looked and searched Google, Facebook, and Instagram. There's no others. So my name is John Sanei, Sanei. I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. My website is johnsanei.com. And I'm constantly sharing my latest research. So please join me so we can share together.
And I'm telling you, folks, if you don't do it, you're going to regret it. Go ahead and check it out. Trust me. Thank you very much, John. And see you next time.
I look forward to it.